Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for my first process video of March using my wild hare kit. If you saw my unboxing video, you will have seen all the Pink Fresh Studio goodies from the A Case of the Blahs line. And if you didn't see that video, you're going to be seeing it here right now because I am going to go through just about everything here looking for which ephemera I want to use for this layout. So I was inspired by that piece there, sort of in the middle down below that says, "Meet me on the couch." And I ended up printing photos about my family and I sitting down to binge watch Stranger Things 2 last fall. And the story is not just simply just that we're sitting down to have a relaxing weekend, which it was really nice to have after the incredibly hard and stressful summer that we had before we moved, but also the fact that my teen and tween hardly ever agree upon what we can watch all together. So all of us together on the couch has become a rare thing lately. So after I went through and picked out lots of little icons and phrases like uh, it's nice to do nothing and let's stay home and movie night, that sort of thing, I got one of the frames from the chipboard set, and I wasn't sure if I was going to use the 3 photos that I had or just 2. So here you see 2 of them to begin with. Now my kit did not have any 12 by 12 paper, so I went and chose this one here from my stash, and it's like a gray on white with these all these little triangles. I really love the geometricness of this. Geometricness, is that a word? So here I decided to just start playing with placement. And when I printed my photos, I knew that this set of chipboard had lots of frames. So I purposefully resized and printed a couple of the photos smaller that I thought would fit into the sizes of the frames. And I printed the main photo as a 3x4. So you'll see me just play with the placement here. I was thinking that I would use that element that says "Meet me on the couch" as the title. So here I switched out the chipboard. I really like this one. It almost reminded me like an old-fashioned TV with those little dots on the bottom. And then I really like that so much that I end up in a little bit coming back and reprinting that main photo to fit another piece of chipboard. But the first thing I do here is switched out the paper. That paper, I really like that paper, but it didn't have enough contrast. All the elements in this line are on white background, and I just wanted a little more contrast. So this is also gray and white background. Really, really old. I have no idea what this is, where it came from. It didn't even have branding strip. But it is slightly darker than the first one I picked, and I really like how it makes the white in the ephemera pop. So here I decided to call it a night, and then I came back and reprinted that photo as a square. I made sure it was cropped a little bit better so that I could also put it on chipboard, and I really like that a lot better. And then you know, I cut this photo of myself. I couldn't get a good selfie of all 4 of us together, so that's why there's a separate one of me. And um, I just trimmed it down, and I'm committing to these chipboard frames. And then that one was a little skinnier, and it was looking a little off to me, so I ended up picking the other frame that is chunky like the other 2. So here I am committing to all those frames, and then I am going to start arranging on this page. Now you can see that this background paper has a tear. So that is why I am strategically placing the Meet Me on the Couch down there. And I thought I could use that as a title. Playing here, I think I went over, see I was trying to make that chipboard piece work. I thought maybe beef up the little cluster at the bottom, but that one never makes it on because it's a really odd rectangular size that just didn't really go well. Here I am starting to fill in some of the little holes and just moving things around, but you're going to see in a second here, I was looking at it and I didn't want to bring more paper in because this has all sorts of little bits on it already. So, but I felt that the background was going to be too stark and it needed something. So I went over to my silhouette and I drew some circles, and using a tutorial about how you can convert a design to a stitch design, I'll link that up on the description. I made these stitch holes in on the background. And I am going to pull in the green, my very favorite color, green from the elements on my page, and I stitched these circles in green. 3 different shades because the line had several shades of green. And I really love how that came out. I love the 3 colors sort of intertwined. One of the circles was more oblong. And it gives all the elements a space to be grounded. Now they don't feel like they're going to be floating everywhere. Plus, who doesn't like, the texture of stitching, right? And this is about a layout of us being home, and I can, I associate stitching with like being at home, homemade, that sort of thing. So here I am now playing around with the elements again. I love those little labels. So I brought them in so I could do some journaling. And then you see here the 2 flare, that's Netflix flare. Those, oh, they're so awesome. That's a set from the Crafty Pocket on Etsy. And she also has an Instagram, is at the Crafty Pocket. And when I was placing them here and I wanted to bring down, so those colors go really well with that title shot and the blanket that my daughter's under. And when I was playing with it, I noticed that if I lined them up, I could get like a nice diagonal, lead your eye all the way through all those elements on a diagonal. So here I moved everything around to do that. And then I placed those labels, filling in the holes within the circle. But I didn't want to cover up all the stitching. So I was careful to leave some blank space. And there were only 2 labels that were that orientation. So I brought in these labels that I printed for free. They're from Caitlin Schaefer. I'm not sure if you say Schaefer or Schaefer. I will link up to her website where you can get these labels for free. They come in different colorways, and I chose all the green ones so that I could do my journaling. And I split up my journaling within all 4 of those little labels. So I wanted to make that Let's Stay Home ephemeral work, but it was kind of big, and for the space, it just wasn't working out for me. So, like I said, it was a story about not only us just having a well-deserved lazy weekend, but also the fact that we actually agreed upon something for once to watch. So that's what well, I don't know if you can see it, but that's what I'm journaling about right here. And then, this layout was sort of like a puzzle, just putting the pieces together. So the labels, there's a lot of symmetry in this layout, which I really love. And it was a lot of fun to just play with the placement. I don't know if you've noticed, I am creating on a different surface. This is the countertop. That's like a butcher block kind of countertop that I have on the counter that used to be in my kitchen. Now it's in my craft studio. And I really love how how it looks in the background. Let me know if you think it's a good idea to create on this. I like that I don't like the standing part, but I like that my lights are out of my way. I placed them on the other side of the counter and they're not preventing me from getting into my drawers and such. So here I pulled out an alphabet that's really, really old. I think it might be even older than that paper. I don't even know where it came from. I don't have packaging, but I know I have it in several colors, and this green was the perfect complement. So I decided to make the title out of that. I wanted something around the stitching because it was looking, just leaving everything on the diagonal left too much space on either side, and I wanted to call attention to the curvature. Although the title, it's really nice because it's transparent, so it doesn't really compete with all the chipboard and ephemera on the page. I added that strip of washi. I think it's from B and Company or Queen and Company. I added that strip of washi down below just to bring in more of that chartreuse color, and you can see that it goes on like a diagonal as well. But you'll see a little later, it's really bugging me. It's too much, so I will be taking that off. And here I am placing down the title. It was quite fiddly. That it's an epoxy, and they're really thin, so it was a little difficult to get on there, but I'm happy with the results of it. So I wanted to mention, if you don't have it, that what really helps me out when I'm doing this sort of thing is that those tweezers that I have there, they're from EK Success Tools, and it's one of those where it rests naturally closed, and it's a really tight pinch, so it's great because it holds things really well, and then you squeeze it to open it, and it is, I've had several different tweezers, and this is the best one. It has the finest tip, and it squeezes really nice. So I'm adding a date to this label on top, and you can see, like I said, my design is really on the diagonal there, and then there was a couple of little blank spaces within the circle, and I wanted to leave some blank, but I also wanted to kind of fill in where the diagonal is. So I took a roller stamp. It's from Studio Calco. It has little stars, and I just put 5 little stars. Now here is where I have a little bit of a disaster. This layout still needed something, so I decided on some splatters, and look what happened. I spilled on my nice counter. Oh my God, I was devastated. However, thankfully, it all cleaned up. I was worried it was going to seep into the wood and permanently stain it, but it's cleaning up. I'm happy that it cleaned up. So my first foray into using this setup, and I thought I was going to ruin my counter. But here we go back to the layout. I carefully was doing more splatters. This is October Afternoon. It's called Witch's Brew, my favorite color, and I just spilled half of it, so I'm bummed about. But I like how it reinforces the area where everything's laying on there, and it just adds a little messiness. But I slept on it, and I came back, and something was really bothering me about that diagonal. You can see me, I was sort of trying to smooth out that tear because I did the diagonal to hide the tear, and I decided I was willing to live with the fact that there's a tear there. And instead of doing it all in the diagonal, I'm bringing things in a little more just to get a little more cozy, if that makes any sense. I just felt that the diagonal was spread out too much. So here I am rearranging everything. And then the Meet Me on the Couch was way too big, so I cut it up, and I cut out the little couch icon, which I like a lot better now. And then the date label, I cut it apart as well. I had accidentally, when I had it at the very top, I had cut too much for what I like. It didn't look as nice as I liked it, so I ended up just cutting it in half and filling that little space under movie night, and I like that a lot better. And then that little star puffy sticker made it back. I was trying to make this little heart puffy sticker work, and it looked like it stuck out with as a, like a sore thumb. So instead, I went to the little cut apart sheet, and there's these little hearts. So I just trimmed them off into little strips. And yeah, here that meet me on the couch and the label, they were looking like clearly I'd cut them, so I rounded the corners. And here I'm adding those little hearts, which I think are a nice little touch to fill in the blanks there. And then I believe that's just about it. So thank you for joining me on this process video. I hope you like the results and that you get some inspiration to play with a lot of ephemera. And if you like this process video, please consider subscribing. Also, I post a lot more on Instagram than I do on YouTube. So there are some layouts that I don't even do process videos for. So if you haven't followed me on Instagram, it's @whimsyfox. Thanks for watching, and I will see you here next time.